There you have it. Welcome to the Captain Jamtastic podcast. This is the Cap Train specifically. I am Captain Jamtastic, and with me tonight, oh my gosh, I just got a guess. I was going to say there's no guess. Who's here?
Hello, hello.
Wayne! Oh my goodness, in the last moment, the 11th hour, Wayne has shown up to be a hero. How are you, Wayne?
Well, I just saw your message saying you're going on. It's only 5 minutes. Maybe I can give my take a little.
Yeah, it's perfect. We just started. I was just doing introductions. So, Wayne, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to. Oh, okay. You should see. You should have. If you look above in the general channel, you'll have the link to everything we're going to talk about. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, I see the Elite Eight. That's the last presentation in the general.
Oh no, then you don't have it. Here, let me get it for you, bud. So a little delay here, so we can catch Wayne up to speed, make sure he's on the same page. But today we're going to be talking all about not the Elite Eight or the Equidistant Eight, as somebody told me afterwards. Whoops, sorry if trademark infringement. We're actually going to be talking about the Foci Four instead of what should have been the Equidistant Eight. All right, I just threw it in there for you. So yeah,
Thanks.
this is the Foci Four playoff preview, and we're going to be covering both majors and minors today, and we're going to start off with the major squads. So number 1 ranked thugs selected number 5 Rektiles to play in round 2 in the Foci 4, and then a Blockwork Orange number 2 was left with the number 7 877 Caps Now. And if you call that number, Wayne, as I did, you will find out it's a porn site. It's a robo dialer.
Numbers of porn sites.
It's a porno thing. So don't actually call it, friends.
Okay, I will not.
I'm just kidding. I didn't call that number, but I'm assuming that's what it is because I think we all know Bamboozler. A little bit of a squirrely guy at times. Am I right?
He's a trickster. His name is Bamboozler.
Exactly. He's bamboozling you into calling his thing. I probably got charged $32 an hour or a minute. Oh, Bam has already tuned out. So we love you, Bam.
He's closed the video.
All right, let's jump in. We got our first matchup, and let's talk about Bam. Let's go with the Blockwork Orange versus 877 Caps Now. Offense for a Blockwork, we got Ballerina Ball Don't Lie. Defense, Frothy Mex. Offense for 877, we got Bam and Protag, and then Ginny and Spork on defense. And Wayne, you have, I'm sure, a lot to say about those gentlemen.
Yeah, they're very good. They played really well.
Yeah,
I
they
expect them to play well again. This is going to be a fun matchup, I think. Probably the better of the two in majors, I'd say. Like just
most
across the.
likely, yeah. It seems on paper that this is going to be much more competitive. 877 doesn't seem like a 7 seed for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
And last week they did play your squad center of attention. You took them to 3 games. You actually handled them pretty well on Transilio. That game felt like it was never close. That was the second game. You won 9-6. You were up 5-2 at the first half. And Jardum, it felt like a coin toss, but you guys ended up losing that one, obviously. 7-5 first half and then 11-9 the
Mhm.
final. And then on Merrill, it seemed like things kind of unraveled for y'all at the end.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I'd say
so
we had a fair. It was pretty even throughout like the first 8 minutes or so, but the last 2 minutes of the first half were probably what made it an uphill climb.
yeah, and I don't think it was anything.
But well fought, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a hard fought game. And 2 good teams. One of them's got to lose. That's all there is to it. So, what was your takeaway from seeing them on the maps? Like, I imagine that Transilio is a map they may want to stay away from here in the second round.
Maybe, but I mean they could be good on it as well. I think that Trinidad is probably our best map, and it was the one that we picked. So if they practice it, I'm sure they could be really good. And we actually played really well against Blockwork, I thought, on Transit. So maybe they want to pick that.
So, out of
Uh,
curiosity, because you have the inside scoop here, so they selected Jardum, I'm assuming then last week,
yeah, yeah.
and then they for pronouns 877 Caps Now, so everyone's clear. And then Merrill was the last map left over. Is that kind of how it went?
That's what it was.
Okay, so I found that interesting because those are 2 fast-paced maps, and I feel like that style definitely favors 877.
Probably.
And I think that's something that
Merrill, you could argue, is like fast paced at times and then slow paced. It's like hard to get
Yeah.
grabs once the flags are out. It's very fast paced.
It's a kind of a roller coaster ride. But those types of maps, I think, favor 877 just because we've talked about it before. They have those players that can transition to offense to defense really quickly and be pretty lethal on offense as
Yeah,
well.
all four of their players are above average flag carriers, I'd say, in the league. None of them are easy to track down, and they can all cap pretty easily. So that's something that I've always liked to have on my own teams, and I know it's pretty successful just down the stretch, especially in playoffs.
Sure. And playoff per game leaders, I handed these stats, so if they're wrong, it's on me, and if they're right, I'm amazing. So there was 3 games, and then if you look at 877 Pro Tag averaging 3 caps per game, that's pretty handy to come in against a
Mhm.
pretty elite defensive team. Um, Bamboozler 191.67 holds, so that's approximately, and this is per game. This isn't per half. So this is 2 10-minute halves, to be clear. I don't want people being like, "Whoa, Pro
Okay.
Tag's averaging. He's a maniac." Like he is a maniac. Let's not get that wrong. But
He's not getting 6
yeah, he's not getting
for
6 minutes,
20
and he's
minutes.
not averaging over essentially 6 minutes a hold per half. It's about 3 minutes per game.
Makes me feel a little bit better. I didn't think we gave him that many approaches.
So yeah, just trying to make sure Wayne isn't buried too heavily. Ginny 28 returns per game. Prevent also Ginny 331. So you do the math on that pretty quick. It's a shade over. I want to say 6 minutes, 6.5
I'm not doing
minutes.
the math, but I
Yeah, six
trust
6.5 minutes. So well, it's 60. No, that would be 5.5 minutes. Yeah, I failed you, Wayne. I failed you.
you. Close enough.
And then Protag, if you look at pups, he's getting 6.33 per game, so about 3 per half. Pretty good numbers, and it looks like they have a pretty good balance for their team. Ginny getting a lot of the work done. Um, and I have the stats for everyone, so if we were curious, I should pull this up as well. If you were to take a look at the playoff stats for their team, pup wise, I didn't do the percentages, which I guess I should have in hindsight because the maps are all different. But pup wise, this team is actually doing pretty well on pups. Yeah, that's what I thought. Bam and
Yeah, I would
Schwark
assume.
averaged 5 pups per game, 3.67 from Ginny, and then you see Protag the leader with 6.33. So all in all, it seems like they're doing a little bit of everything, which is kind of the good
If their
recipe.
offense gets the Pubs, I have no doubt that their defense will be on top of Pubs, so
Mhm.
they'll probably be pretty dominant if their offense can continue that trend.
Well, it feels like the best matchup if you're going to take down. There's been a little bit of chinks in the armor for Blockwork Orange, but if you're going to take them down, it seems like an offensive heavy team to go against their defense is the type of team that you want to go down swinging against them, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're gonna make Max have to tag all four of these players
Yeah.
if,
Uh,
if they want to win.
And we'll take a quick look here. Blockwork stats, playoff leaders, ball don't lie, 6.5 caps, 229 hold, max 41.5, absolutely ridiculous returns per game, and then 393.5 prevent. And then pups, he's averaging 8.5, and you say, whoa, that's a loaded team.
Yeah, I'd say that's the returns and the Pubs both are standout numbers there.
Yeah, but when you look at them in comparison, the rest of the team, you got Ballerina averaging 5, pretty good, and Frothy 4.5, a little pretty good, a little lower, and then Ball Don't Lie, pretty low
Above
down
average,
there
yeah.
with 2.50, but that may be because he's holding so much more. He's actually second in hold per
It's
game.
interesting considering how dominant Bottle Lie was last season on power ups. I think 5% higher than any other player in season 20.
Sure, and in fairness, these are not regular season stats; they are
Yeah.
the playoff stats. So
It's only one game.
one
So
yeah one series essentially doesn't replicate a whole season, but I feel like we usually don't get to see these numbers, so that's why I decided to drag them up before we actually got to the games.
and also, not a lot of people mention it, but you can like win the pup for your team and not grab the pup and not have it go to your stats. But you can win it with like a really good block, and
Yeah,
that won't show up anyway.
yeah,
And I assume he does that a lot as well to help Max and Co.
yeah. And also Ballerina, she's averaging 5, so
Yeah.
he probably helped her as well. A little bit, not all the time. Ballerina can get pups on her own as well. Prevent per game. So the leader in the playoffs is Max. They're 393.50. Second is 391. Do you care to guess who that is?
Are they still in the playoffs?
Yep.
Let's see. Would that be our boy Grumpy?
No. It's actually somebody we should be talking about right next. It's Frothy.
Oh,
So
that's surprising. Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
So they've been absolutely dominating on prevent. That seems to be the strategy. Just don't even let them grab.
I'm
And
just inclined to guess Grumpy because I mean he's all of it.
yeah. So their first round matchup, though. Oh, I didn't get their statistics. Classic Jam. Oh no, I did. I'm a hero. Don't worry, Wayne. I've done it.
Classic Jam.
They squared off against Boats and Holds. So
Yes.
Boats and Holds is a bit grabby, and you see that in the numbers because they're not only leading in prevent, but they also were number one in returns per game. Mex had 41.5, and
I think
Frothy.
that follows suit for the regular season too. I'm pretty sure they had the returns and prevent as a duo.
Yeah, they're. I mean, it's an elite defense. There's no questioning that. And when the defense is that good, like there's been people have been critical of Ball Don't Lie, saying, oh, like he's not a superstar player or whatever, but he can be like a high A level player instead of an A plus with this
Yeah,
type of team. Like he's going to be absolutely fine because he can take more chances even than usual. And
yeah, and you want him where he is right now, like on offense with a high upside, because he's really good at creating things. I think,
yeah, he's
and we have
the
that defense. It's just a good.
first round cap leader, 6.50 per game. He had 13 in the 2 games if you do the math. Obviously, I guess I didn't need to spell that out for everyone, but I did because I'm a nice guy. But 6.5 and then Ballerina with 4. That's number 1 and number 2 again. So like this team, they took care of business in the first round.
Yeah, and it was partially in part to a huge blowout. I think we were streaming the other game at the time, and I was checking in on it, and it just was not even close. I think
Yeah,
that's their best map by a lot because they gave us a manhandling on Willow. I think week 2. So if I'm 877, that's probably going to be my first ban there.
yeah, I would. I'd say maps are going to be pretty important in this matchup. I don't think a blockwork is as concerned as 877 should be. I think 877 should try to kind of lure them in. It's almost like when you talk about two teams and one of them is not that blockwork is clearly superior. I think it's going to be a great matchup, but they try to.
Yeah, they played week 7, I think, and one of them went to OT, and the other one was like a one cap game. So they've played recently, and it's been really close.
Do they play week 7? I got the statistics up here. Let's take a gander. Oh, Wayne, you're such a liar.
It's either 6 or 7.
No, you're right. It was week 7.
Okay.
Blockwork Orange won 8-6 on Merrilt, and then it went to OT. There was like a lot of weird server issues, so there's no EUs for that game. They
Mm.
had to keep restarting. It ended up being 13-10, 8-7-7-1 in overtime. But like I said, that seems to be the only defeats for Blockwork Orange this season were weird server issues for one of their players. uh,
Well, hopefully they fix that.
that's kind of a big deal here in the playoffs. So I remember when they were playing the bigger game, which was against Rank Thugs, because it was 1 and 2 at the time, and playoffs were still in question, et cetera, et cetera. But I was watching that game, and Max said, "Joy, hop in," and Jukior just was not there.
Yeah, I remember watching
so,
that as well.
so they ended up losing that one in OT, and then they lost clean in the next one. But it was not exactly ideal. So is that obviously? I mean, we're mentioning it, so it's a concern. Is it a huge concern? Do you think it's going to have a factor in this game?
I think it always could. That's like probably my least favorite thing to have to deal with in competitive play is just being at the mercy of internet connections.
Yeah,
It it's happened to me a couple times in my career, but recently I've been lucky enough to where it hasn't had to happen. I know it happened to Ball and Lie last season with DT, and it's happening again to him this season.
yeah.
So for their sake, I hope it doesn't mean too much. but I also know that Frothy is flying to New York. I think he did yesterday.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's probably less than ideal for a Dallas game.
Yeah, where was he? Where's he usually based out of? Do you know?
Uh, Florida, I want to say. So closer,
A little
but
closer, yeah.
not super close. Yeah, I would say it could make a difference. So hopefully they just all stay in the game and don't have to deal with that because I know it really sucks.
Yeah, the big question here, and this is something I've always thought, is I think rosters should be. I mean, people are just going to disagree with me on this, which is fine, but I think rosters should be a little bigger just to have somebody on standby in case something happens. And then if
Yeah,
like, because I don't really like the last second call ups and stuff. Like, I don't have an answer. There's no better system that I have in place, but I do think it would be funny if, like, you had a roster of 5 or 6 people, and if two of them can't make it and one lags out, you're just on a power play the rest of the game. I think that's hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
um,
That's
but
what we try to do a lot. I always try to make sure I have like at least one sub ready, and then we have like a plan. Like if that sub can only play one position, then we have somebody switch around, like
yeah,
for any scenario. It's just good to be prepared that way because
yeah, and I'm
everybody just looks at the results and they don't really look at like if there was a key like internet connection thing. So
sure.
you always just want to be prepared and like be ready for any scenario.
Yeah, and Blockwork has already had 2 of those instances, so,
Hmm.
you know, not that there's a big asterisk as if it happens, but, you just don't wanna see it. You wanna see a clean game, and you
Yeah.
wanna see the best team win. So that said, who do you got in this one?
I think it's gonna go to 3 games. I think if especially if they can ban Willow against AB.
Mhm.
ABO definitely has weaknesses, but I think that they're probably the better team overall, and I would be surprised if they lost. But I do think that 877 is going to take at least 1 game here.
Yeah, 877, I kinda slept on them when I picked, against them, or I overrated you, so you can have your pick at that
Yeah,
win. No, but
fair enough.
I well, I thought it was going 3 games, and I thought it was kind of a toss-up. I thought you guys were pretty evenly matched. And again, that's kind of the same situation here. They may not be evenly matched in terms of record, but the style of play, when they played you, it felt like to me like the style of play was your team to me felt almost like a 90s or early 2000s NBA team where it was star heavy, and then the
A
other players
little. Yeah.
needed to pick up the slack was kind of the idea there. And they kind of have this. If I were to look at their team, it's like, oh, they remind me of like the 7 seconds or less Suns. Like when they first came on,
Hmm.
everyone was like, whoa, this is
They're
super
faster
fun.
paced and they're more versatile, and I
Yeah,
think that definitely is a benefit for them in the playoffs, especially
right.
because yeah, it's just swing moments in games
Right. And
that
I
are
think
what
it's
wins
going to be
playoff games, and they can
interesting
do that.
to see them play up against ABO this time because ABO is not the same team as you. Like I would argue Mex is probably their lead
Yeah,
biggest
Mex
star
is
player, but like as a whole, their team is just it's very well rounded. But when you really break it down to its core and its components, to me, it's a defensive heavy team. Like they're fueled by their defense. So if you're able to get out on the defense, that might start to break things up.
yeah.
The other side of that, though, I don't think 877 has as strong of a defense. And I do think, like even though I said ABO's a defensive heavy team, their offense is still ridiculous. They led the league in caps per
Mhm.
game. They're doing it in the playoffs as well and hold. So like, well, I don't know if they led and hold. I shouldn't say that, not for the regular season at least.
It's definitely gonna be on the ABO defense to, like, open up the game really strong. Because if they start to give Protag and Bam a little bit too much space, then it might get away from them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. I think it's going to go to 3. I do pick a Blockwork Orange, but I'm not going to be stunned if that doesn't happen. Essentially.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
So Rank Thugs, Rektiles, we got Maru Popo offense, Grumpy Tide defense for Rank Thugs. Rektiles has Dragon Beast and First on offense. I fixed the slide, and Doris and Griff. I
I believe
fixed
we're
them.
streaming this game, right?
AK is streaming the game. I didn't realize it was Father's Day, so I have to. I'm kind of like a game time decision for that.
Okay, I see.
So I mean, I don't worry, guys. I got my dad a gift. I know you were all concerned, but I have to set up a call and like do stuff with him, hang out with him for a bit. And it's probably going to be around the time this game is going to be streaming. Do we know what time it is streaming?
I can look it up.
It doesn't matter. We'll find out after. That's not super important right now. We're just
It's
gonna waste people's time.
9:30 Eastern.
9:30 Eastern. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's on the East Coast, so maybe that'll be around bedtime for him. We'll find out. Rank Thugs, Maru's got, but yeah, AK-47 will be streaming that one. Should be a great game. Everybody should watch. Maru has 4 caps per game, hold 295, and then Ty leads with returns 29 per game. Grumpy with prevent 359, our boy, and then Pups Maru
Yes,
with
sir.
7. I was kind of surprised when I did the 10 interview with Lionel. He said this team runs through Maru, everything. He's kind of the
Yeah,
star player, and it kind of took me aback because I was like, I don't know. I thought this team was pretty well rounded through and through personally, but I get it.
I still
Like,
think it is.
yeah, I think they're extremely. I mean, if anything, he's underselling the other guys a little bit, but this team is stacked from top to bottom. They're the number 1 seed for a reason, and
Yeah.
I think the team they're playing is going to have their hands full. That's Rektiles 2.33 caps for Dragon, 132.33 hold for first. Doris with 23 returns per game, 335.67 prevent for Doris as well, and then Griff with 8 pups per game. Go Griff, you're an
Yeah,
animal.
Griff had a good game when we were streaming that one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did stream that one. That was a heck of a game to watch, actually. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, who'd they play? Oh, yeah, I announced it. Yeah, Albert. Albert is very excited for his team to move forward. If you
In the
guys,
second round now.
if you guys didn't watch, you should go watch the stream because you'll get all these inside jokes that Wayne and I are about to have here. um, Pups per game. This team is also. I know I said, whoa, look at the numbers, but so you got Griff with 8, which is pretty good. And then Doris has 6. This is for Rektiles, obviously. 5.67 for first, and Dragon Bee's 4.67. I have no doubt that's part of the reason they won. I mean, there was more pups on the maps, for sure, but
Yeah,
they were winning.
that could be something to consider because they did play different maps last week, all of these matchups.
Sure.
So there might be different numbers of pups like on each
Yeah,
map.
I should probably, maybe I'll go in for next week and add the percentage as well. Um, just put a note on my documents to do that because that's obviously that's kind of important. But
Yeah.
regardless, so like when I remember looking at the numbers and I was like, oh wow, they really just dominated pups every game that they won, or half that they won, I should say.
Yeah, they did for sure.
And then caps per game, actually stunningly low, I would say. As a team, they're averaging just over 5 per game, and that's 2.33 from Dragon, 2.0 exactly from first.
Doris and Griff split the .7s.
Yeah, the extra, it's actually they get exactly to 1, so they're
Wow.
averaging 5.33 per game. It's 0.67 for Griff, Doris 0.33.
Okay,
So
so they both got some.
yeah, but every other team, they are definitely the lowest scoring team, and again, maybe that has to do with maps, but they played 3 games as well, so
hmm
they were able to grind out a win. I don't know if that type of play is going to get that done against Rank Thugs though. Like
Well, they'll probably need to grind it out if they are going to win. But I don't know if it'll be as easy as last week. I'd say last week was easier. Anyway.
well, the style again, like when we talk about these styles of play, for Rank Thugs, you're going to have Pulpo is kind of a grab machine. Maru can do a little bit of
hmm
everything. He's like plays the 3D well, attacks well, holds very well. I think he was the hold leader for the regular
Yeah.
season. If not, he was close. And then on
And that was
defense,
our good friend GG.
oh, I only count people who make the playoffs. So
Okay, yeah,
no,
fair
I'm just kidding. Sorry, Gigi. I just threw him under the
that was
bus.
too real.
Oh man, Gigi's not gonna talk to me for a week.
GG just turned off the stream.
I'm throwing them away one by one. All right, so but yeah, that and then their defense, Grumpy and Ty. Ty's been pretty efficient. The only weakness I've seen, which hasn't been often or at all from Rank Thugs, is sometimes they do let go of a little bit of a train. I don't think Rektiles has the offense that threatens to keep a train alive like that. And they're pretty quick at shutting it down. Like
hmm
their biggest weakness, I mean, like the biggest thing I could say is if you're out, don't hesitate because it'll take Maru less than 3 seconds to get back on OD, and and he's like one of the best offensive defensive players, and then the rest of the team is there in like a few seconds. So
Yeah,
It's
true.
just you have to be. It's kind of like a blitzkrieg offense in order to hit them. Like I'd rather take chances and keep a regrab train going and just take shot after shot after shot, as opposed to letting them recover, get a return, and then they walk back for defense again. On the other end,
Yeah, you want to take the shot that's there if you
yeah,
see.
I just don't think there's a lot of time, and it's not every team that plays like this, but they're just so good at swarming and getting back that you can't really, especially if you're down, you can't take the extra time to try to make the big play because it's just they're too disciplined on OD, so it doesn't feel like they're going to make that mistake.
And the fact that they can do that is because they can close back really quickly and get a reset after they.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that's mostly because of Grumpy. I
Yeah,
believe you're gonna.
yeah. Screw Ty, it's all grumpy.
Yeah.
Ty's turned off the stream. There we go. um, on the other side, I think Doris obviously has to have a huge game, and honestly, like I think Dragon needs to like really go off here.
I was
Dragon,
gonna say Dragon. He
yeah,
needs. I kind of expect Doris to have a good game at this point.
mhm.
Seems to for the most part. But Dragon, we need to see have a really good offensive game, playing really smart and holding a lot in order for them to have like a good chance. I think.
Well, these teams also they played week 7. I believe I
Okay.
streamed this game too. I may be wrong.
So I've got two rematches
From week
for
7,
week.
yeah. The games were not really that close. 9-3. If I did stream this game, I tend to remember the second game was pretty close for most of it, and it kind of blew up at the end. But on Merrill, Rank Thugs won 9-3. It was 6-2 at the half, and it felt like it was over at the half. On Haste, it was 2-2. Yeah, okay, so I did stream this game. It was 2-2 tie after the first half, and then Rank Thugs went on to win 9-4. They just kind of boat raced them at the end there once they realized it was over.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look promising for Rektiles rather. Those are two maps that they maybe Haste they'll give another shot to, but it seems like they want to avoid Merrill, in my opinion.
Well, didn't they win on Merrill yesterday, or is that the one they lost? Actually, I think they lost Merrill against Holden. So yeah, they probably want to get rid of that one.
Yeah, so Merrill probably off the list. It does seem like their strength is their defense. I would argue Doris and Griff.
Yeah, it is. After watching them play Holden Gate, I would say that it's probably
So you
the
probably want to
defensive
pick like
for them.
maps that kind of favor the defense, but it's kind of hard to say because Pulpo style again, like there's a very aggressive grabber, so like you need to find a map that you feel comfortable enough to say, okay, like I feel like the
We can
longer they,
stop them
yeah, if
like
we can contain them,
80%.
I think they got to go big on prevent. That's kind of my analysis of it.
Yeah.
Um,
So did you say your player to watch for ranked thugs is Pulpo here?
no, not really. It's always for me, not well. It's always Grumpy, duh. But
Well, yeah.
but
Just because you like
but no, like I think Pulpo. I think they know what to expect. I know what to expect as a viewer. I think it's going to be the way Maru plays off of him. Or okay then.
okay.
That's kind of what I'm the most interested in watching is like, okay, like how is he going to pick his spots, especially if they find the maps or they find the way to lock down Pulpo. It's kind of weird to think that Pulpo may be the key, but
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of what I was thinking,
yeah,
like in terms of a player to watch. Like he's what he does is how the game will flow.
yeah. I mean, like, I again for me, it's just Maru because I want to see how he reacts to that, especially
Yeah.
because he had. So last week, what was interesting, 8 caps for Maru, and then 7 for Grumpy. So Grumpy went off for a half, and that could be another thing that threatens Rectiles is like the Grumpy factor. Like he is a two-way player as well, you know. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
If he's a lead, he'll go for it.
yeah,
Like he's pretty potent as a capper.
yeah. And Pulpo also last week was hold leader 295 was of all the stats I tracked for the winners at least I guess I should say of the round. He was the hold leader by far. So yeah, we may actually. You might be right. Maybe I misspoke, and Pulpo is the one to watch. Who do you got in this one?
I think I'm gonna go with ranked thugs in two, but I would like to see that be proved wrong.
I think, yeah, I think I actually tend to agree with you. I think it's going to be Rank Thugs in 2, maybe 3, but I just think they just match up too well with Rectiles. I don't think they're unbeatable. I actually think
Yeah, I
8-7-7
mean,
would have given them a much better run. But
think whoever wins the other game is going to give them a really tough
tough,
if they
yeah. But I mean, like these are only predictions, and Rektiles could go off. Like we could be sitting on a powder keg.
said that Doris is one of those players that could just like
Yeah,
take over a game and win a half, and he can definitely do it here too.
Doris is one of my. If I looked at per game averages, I wouldn't be surprised to see Doris sneak into the MVP conversation. For me
He
right
could
now,
absolutely have an MVP run. He
yeah,
set it up for himself.
yeah. For me this season, it was Max, Maru, and I think I guess yeah, Doris would have been third for me, but yeah, that's just off the top of my head though. I can't think of anyone that jumped out as like, oh, they were so good that they were amazing. Maybe Curry, just because of everything that happened with Holden Gate. Yeah, or Wayne. Always put Wayne in. So yeah, we kind of agree. Potentially, potentially looking at a Rectiles Blockwork Orange rematch for the finals, which I think like after watching those games too, I think that's the match everyone kind of wants to see. Um, but that said, I'm always rooting for spoilers. I'm kind of in the
Yeah, I
camp of
did
eight
too.
seven seven right now. I really like to see them win, especially because I've been sleeping on them pretty much all season. So
I like to see them win because it makes me look better.
you're so selfish, Wayne. All right, let's talk about the minors. We got Young Hotties number 1. They selected number 5, All Eyes on Re. So kind of interesting. Both number 1 seeds opted not to select the lower seed. And also interesting that both number 1, number 2, number 5, number 7 seeds in majors and minors moved on. So House
Yeah,
Tagaryen,
that was someone pointed.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. House Tagaryen will play number 7 clocks and blocks. So first matchup, let's take a look at the hotties. Young hotties, balls to you, Vector Vaughn, which is Snowball, as you informed me. Offense, defense, Omar and Suchet. All eyes on Reed, Dope and Easy. Offense, ASAP Incandenza or Constanza, aka Costanza, on defense. That's a Seinfeld joke for people. I hope people don't think I'm just like ripping him. And I don't think I've ever met Costanza. So,
One
um,
guy. It's a
but
friend of Max.
oh yeah, no, then I can't stand him. I kind of I like this team. I like this matchup. Again, once again, two different teams. Young Hotties like really good defense with Suchet and Omar, and then the offense is like a one-man wrecking crew with balls to you. Um, no
Yeah,
disrespect to Snowball, but like balls to you is just having an absurd season. And then all eyes on Re, the opposite of that. Like Incandenza has
exactly.
been really good defensively, but ASAP kind of is like that wild card that tends to go offense sometimes and make stuff happen. Dope
I think
is
we slept on him a little bit last week.
oh for sure. I mean they won, so we were wrong.
Well, I think I picked him overall, but we slept on ASAP.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, actually, I think I talked and I said ASAP was the most interesting cog in the system for All Eyes on Re to me, and that remains the same case.
Yeah, probably.
Dope and Easy, like Dope, kind of like the hold offensive guy. Easy, like I think he's just so valuable to this team because of how he can switch and how he can cover both positions. And
Yeah,
then the pup
and
master
he's
over there.
just always in the right spot. It seems.
Yeah, so it should be
Taking
an
the
exciting
ball.
matchup. Like the teams actually feel like they're built similarly. Oh wow, similarly. Okay, let's not say that one on the pod again. They're they're built kind of the same, um, in some ways, but there's kind
I
of
said they're kind of the reverse here.
Do you think they're?
Like,
I feel like Dope and Balls to You are kind of similar, and then Such and Omar are like a heavy defense, whereas Easy and ASAP do like the switchy thing, where they can
mm,
kind of cover each other and then give a different look to the offense or the defense. So they're
yeah,
definitely different teams, but like I was saying, what I was trying to say is like at times they play similar because Such it kind of reminds me of ASAP. He can fly to offense as well.
yeah,
Um,
you can.
and Omar is kind of a similar thing. So this matchup is I'm really intrigued. Like I would not mind
Yeah, this seems
watching
like
or
a
streaming
weird
this
like
one.
it's weird personnel based. I'd say. Like either team could win this, just because like one side of the map is going to be dominated, or the
Yeah. You take
if that makes sense.
a look at the yeah, it does make sense. It's just we'll take a look at the per game leaders and then jump into it. Balls to you, caps 5.5 and hold 251 per game. This is Such It with 24 returns per game, 287 prevent per game, and 7 pups per game. Pretty good numbers. It seems like they're kind of one-sided or like a little heavy, star heavy, so to speak. But when you take a look at the stats, which you can't, I didn't supply those to you here. Actually, let me get you those, Wayne, so you can see what I'm
I'll
talking
take
about.
that.
Let's see. Let me open this up and send this to Wayne. Oh, I sent it to myself. There you go, bud. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. I'm sorry. I should have done that at the top. But yeah, the caps per game, balls to you twice as many as Such It, who is the second. So Snowball doing
Yeah,
a bit
he's
much.
got the most out of all of the games so far.
And
The
now, like
yeah,
the big thing, actually, we should mention this. This was a fun one. So like they had kind of like a fun. You're on my screen, by the way, in case you were interested. You're an anonymous goose. When I'm looking at my um, Google Drive doc, I always love when the animals pop up. It makes me giggle. So yes, there was like a little bit of controversy in the not really controversy, but like it was. I'm gonna call you out, Fender, because I thought this was hilarious. It was hey, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying anything, but let me complain and say something. I always love when that stuff happens. But he was talking about the prevent and essentially the 3D strats, and he was basically saying like, listen, like Snowball was like, what's the ruling on this? Like, how often can they be playing 3D? And I think it's an interesting controversy to open up, and something I'd like to see addressed at the end of the season. When
I
you
think they should be able to do it as much as they want to, so
I
long as
oh
it gets.
yeah, I 100% agree, but like you got to figure out ways that I mean that's the next evolution of Tag Pro is figuring out how to
Yeah,
counteract that. Like if you guys remember way back when Tag Pro started, regrab wasn't even a thing. Now it's a constant. Anti wasn't a thing after regrab, and then it evolved to having an anti-re, so that the trains would die. 3D is the next evolution. So what's after 3D? How do you counteract that? And I like it because for me, I'm always talking about how I think there should be more strategy. And I think this opens the door to be like, okay, cool, they're doing a 3D, do this. Like this is our
mhm.
counter. But there was the talk about it, and then you see his prevent per game, 115.5. Um,
And that's something I was gonna kinda bring up, and I didn't even see that comment by Thunder, but
yeah.
in the way that ASAP can swing offense,
Hmm.
Snowball can really stay defense a lot and be,
Yep.
like, a really good defender. It's like the 3rd defender and just shut down any opportunity.
Yeah, and
While
he's
Multi can, like, generate outs by himself as
yeah, and he has good reads. But I mean, like, and again, like the debate was kind of heavily like, oh, how often can you stay there, and like where are the specifics? And for me, like, I think like I am kind of in your camp, so I didn't care about the argument all that much. I think you can stay as much as you want. You got to figure out a way to counteract it. Um, and if you want to, like, that could be way people build teams. If you're like, listen, this guy's not like an awesome offender, but he's a pretty good like third defender and a decent support guy when we need him. So like maybe
yeah,
that's our style of play. And he wasn't
and
even
Snowball just wins games a lot, like, he's a good tag pro player,
yeah.
so I think that type of player should be valuable in league.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I thought the argument, not that it was flawed, but it was just it's not something that you can really address. It's just like I
Yeah,
said, it's the next evolution. You got to figure out how to counteract it. It is what it is. Snowball wasn't even. This is the biggest point to me. If you look at the prevent 115.5, he wasn't even the best preventer on offense. That went to refined at 121.5. Um,
he's
so
also restricted, I think.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, like the point being, like you're allowed to do that. I mean, like
Yeah, yeah, you should be able
I
to.
think the
Like,
next thing they
you're
should
hurting
do.
your team if you don't do that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think for me, like the next thing that you should, and sometimes you just get stuck on defense. Like my prevent numbers were probably higher because I would die, and then if somebody was there, I'd be like,
Mhm.
whatever, I'll play D. But if you look at the next season, I think one of the things they should do is consider not doing the restrictions on positions or finding a way
Yeah.
around that, or even saying like I'm offense but can play defense. Like I'm trying to play defense, so my secondary position is offense. Without
Mhm.
like the tough part is the manipulation of the draft stock. That's for another podcast. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, this matchup it's pretty interesting, man. Like who do you think? Well, let's jump in. Sorry, before I get your thoughts on that. We spent so much time talking about that ridiculous thing. Let's take a look at the stats for All Eyes on Re. They're per games leaders. Easy 4.5 caps, 217.5 hold. Pups, ASAP with 7. Returns Incandenza 28.5. Prevent Incandenza or Incan. Am I saying it right? Incandenza. Incandenza.
I think you got it.
All right.
Candenza.
Costanza 2297 prevent.
Yeah, that'll do.
um, yeah, how do you think? What do you like about these teams? What do you like about the matchup? Like, who do you favor and why?
I really like the offense presence for All Eyes on Ray, just with Easy and Dope, probably arguably being the two top attackers like in playoffs right now. Easy, I think, probably is one. Dope's in the mix for like the next two or three.
Yeah,
But and then ASAP, as we said earlier, can go and like generate opportunities, and that matches up kind of the same way with Omar, Sachet, and then Snowball,
yeah,
like as three pretty defensively heavy players.
yeah. So,
Generally, sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, generally, I would say the defense wins this matchup more often than just because like as long as they stay solid and then get a couple opportunities by themselves, and I'm sure Ball Steel will, like they'll win more of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it really depends on the maps you have because there are maps where if you get the right like two,
Mm-hmm.
then it could easily go the offensive way if they just dominate.
Well, I think. Sorry, I just got a text about my dog vet. I was making sure I didn't need to bring him in right now, and I don't. Okay. Sorry, everyone. I take good care of my dog. um, yeah, young. So it's interesting you mentioned the maps because Young Hotties played Haste and Merrill, um, and then All Eyes on Re played Pilot and Rush last week. So two very different exchange of maps there.
Yeah.
It looks to me like All Eyes on Re is leaning towards those more defensive maps, and they're confident that Dope and Easy can do something cool to get out. Rush is a little more
Mhm.
offensive, I would say. But
Yeah.
Haste and Merrill, two to me very offensive heavy maps. Like, and also another a good thing to note, both those maps feel like those are pretty good 3D maps. Like able to lock
Yeah.
someone in with the extra defender to like cut out like the one time you can get out, and you're like, yeah, I'll just stay here for a sec. You know.
Mhm. I think Rush is also a good one to do that too, as well.
I feel like Rush to me is like pretty offensive. There's just like so many ways to get out as an offensive player.
It is offensive, but if you have 3D, then it makes it a lot, which is why 3D is good on that one.
Yeah, 3D on Rush is actually a pretty really good strat. It doesn't look like All Eyes on Re employed it at least too much because the final on that one was 10-6.
Mhm.
They won 7-4 on Pilot after a 2-2 first half tie. Um, and All Eyes on Re, definitely a second half team. 2-2 tie in the first half on Pilot. They win 7-4. 4-3 Quack Boosters led in the first half on Rush, and then they come back and win 10-6. So they know how to play from behind, which is definitely going to benefit them against the top seed.
Yeah.
Young Hotties dominated straight throughout 3-1 first half and then 8-6 for Haste. And then on Merrill, 6-2 first half, and then they really put the boots to him 12-3 final.
And yeah,
Um,
that's always the mark of a really good team that can like
yeah,
put
finishing
up those
strong. Side
finishing
note,
strong.
side note, which is pretty interesting. There was some 3-game series in majors. Minors were all sweeps. One game did go to OT, but pretty much all sweeps throughout. I don't know. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
Um, but
I
this
saw that too.
matchup, like on paper, I don't know. All Eyes on Re are just one of those teams. You look at the players and you're like, I don't know, man. These guys are like really good. It's just if they're gonna put it together and pull off this upset, like to me, the big thing is okay, can they shut down balls to you? Like if they can take him out of the game, put specifically, and I talked about this with Bright, and he said sometimes they, at least on his teams, they would do this where Like in this one, for example, I believe Incandenza has pretty good prevent numbers in the regular season, and then if you take a look at his postseason numbers, he's at 297 per game, which you know, pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Considering the maps that they played. Is a strategy here? Do you think would be a good idea to say, all right, listen, in Cadenza, our first priority is just body balls to you. Like, don't let him get anything. Like, take away his boost, clear the bombs, make sure he's not doing anything. Essentially, try to make Snowball beat us if he can, and especially if there's so much complaints. Like, if he is staying 3D too much,
Then
okay, cool.
he has to go.
Yeah, force him to play offense. I to me that's the strat. Like I would say, okay,
I
cool,
agree.
and then if you're ASAP, like a lot of players, Panda's one of them, the most notable one. You actually do it a lot too. Play that snipe D sometime more in pubs, but use the
Mhm.
snipe to start the prevent early. Push him back. Just start to get in his head
Yeah,
early. Just punch him back across the half midway field. Say, all right,
and
you're
on a
not getting
map
in
like
easy.
both Haste and Merald, you can do that on both.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll the strats here will be interesting. What do you think? Who do you think's going to pull it out?
First, I want to say I think the matchup to watch that's going to define this game is like Incandenza versus Balls to You. Like whoever wins that one-on-one matchup, and it's going to happen a lot,
Hmm.
is going to be in control of the game. I think.
Yeah,
I think Easy is probably the best player on the map, so that's always going to give all eyes on Reach. But Young Hotties has the stronger team overall, and they just had a dominant first. Like they didn't. When you have those first rounds where it's just you kind of can walk through, I feel like that always gives an advantage in the second round. I don't.
yeah. The player to player matchups are super interesting to me. Like Incandenza versus Balls to You, you talked about the prevent versus the grabs. And when I played with Balls a few seasons ago, he was ridiculously good at getting rub grabs. I imagine that's only gotten better, especially that he's probably been playing more since quarantine. Um,
Yeah,
and he
I know
just
a lot of people are high on Balls here. I haven't seen much of him. He has a lot of caps here, so
he's always been like he was an elite for sure MLTP player. The first season of major or minors, he was actually really dominant. He just didn't get to play that much. He had other stuff going on, so his numbers didn't look as good in the gasp or whatever because like the way that it's factored in. But like in his individual games, when you looked at the statistics, he was pretty ridiculous, and he didn't play in the playoffs when they lost. So um, yeah, I'm pretty high. I've always been pretty high on balls to you. I think he's really great. The other
okay,
matchup I'm interested in, it's not really a direct matchup, but it's not Incandenza, I'm sorry, Such It for Young Hotties, and then on the other side of that, um, our boy ASAP. So that's the one
okay.
I'm the most interested in.
They're both playing defense, though, right? I
Yeah,
guess they'll both be switching back and forth, though. So
yeah, and I think that's going to be a pretty crucial thing. Like if Balls to You is struggling, Such It may be able to generate the offense as well, just coming on an O for a team or two.
yeah, he
And
can.
then likewise for ASAP, if they're struggling and he just comes in, it's like, oh, something's
Yeah,
happened.
it's
We have had somebody join us. Who's here? Who's done it?
the torch.
Oh, yes, the best player in the game, Curry. Welcome to the pod, man. Oh, he's muted. You hate to hear it. Well, he's muted, but if you come unmuted, welcome to the pod, buddy. So yeah, then we got the last matchup that we're gonna jump into. Oh, did we pick? No, we didn't really pick.
No,
Let's do
I'm
the
gonna go
picks.
with Young Hotties and three. I think that they will take it to a third game, but I think this
Classic
Young
Wayne,
Hotties
always picking those young hotties.
love them.
This is yeah, this is a tough one for me. I always love veteran players. I think Easy's having a sensational season. He had a great majors run as well. Um, I kind of like really want to pick all eyes on Ree, but I think unless young hotties are off their game, I think that I just like them more on almost every. I would say I like them more on more than half the
Yeah,
maps, so I'm going to take them in three as well.
yeah, I think I
But
would.
I think it's going to be a battle. I don't think it's going to be like most of the minors games are pretty good matchups, and I think in the Foci Four, at least for me, I think there's going to be a lot of close
Easy
games.
and Dope is too good of an offense for this to be a cakewalk for them.
Yeah,
They're definitely gonna have to fight for it.
All right, man, that's it. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to fake out clocks and blocks in House Tagaryen. Oh. I should have sold it a little harder. But I like both these teams too. So we do have House Tagaryen versus Clocks and Blocks. Clocks and Blocks, we got Refined Team Offense, or Ref, his he goes by, but I think almost everyone calls him Refined. He's,
Mhm, yeah.
like I always call Okay Then Maru because it's a complete name change, but Refined just kind of shortened it. So I
You're like
usually.
even the only person who does that.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Nobody else does them.
I do it for like everyone that like when Ginseng, I called him Berserker, or I would have called him Berserker for the season. Um, Sometimes I'll slip. Like with Maru, it was kind of tough because I knew it was Okay Then, so I would say
Yeah.
his. And but like for the
When they
most part, at
condense
least when I'm
his name, it's
announcing,
so hard to pronounce. It's
yeah, I gotta go to Costanza or can't stand you. It condenses. It's not hard to pronounce. I'm just uh, I need a coffee, I guess. These squads are great. So we got Dad first for House Targaryen offense and Cheese Doodle and Gargantua. I am super looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be awesome. I
me
don't
too,
know who's
yeah. This
streaming it, but
this might be my favorite, like, just general matchup throughout all the playoffs, including, and that's saying something because like there's good matchups throughout this.
yeah. So let's take a look at the stats and then we'll jump in to the guts of both of these squads. You want to look at House Targaryen first, or you want to look at clocks?
Whichever one comes.
All right,
That's Tagaryen.
House Targaryen it is. Um, I like also I've heard some people call them Targaryen. I'm like, no, they dropped the R because it's tag pro-y. It's funny.
Oh yeah, that's better.
I think everyone most people caught it, and it's kind of like a mental slip when they say it. But I'm always like, no, it's a good name. It's fun. Except for the season 1 through 6, I think they were trying to get the SHIT acronym type thing or SHT
Yeah,
acronym. But
and they did.
yeah, they did. But it's really annoying to like make docs and stuff for that. Just call yourselves House Tagaryen. First 3.5 caps, Dad, 237.5 hold. Returns Gargantua 24. Prevent Gargantua 430. Pups first averaging 7 per game. And like again, those numbers change based on the maps, so they'll be higher or lower because everyone's playing different maps in the playoffs, which is kind of something. Quick side tangent. I kind of like that about MLTP. They're like, no, you play all these maps in the regular season, so if you go 7 games, you play them all in the playoffs too.
Yeah,
I'd like to see something
I
similar.
I kind of like that too. Honestly, I like
I
that
I
format
don't know
better.
that you would play all 7, but like maybe first rounder these maps, second rounder these maps. So you're playing on the same ones at least. Because the
That's what
pick,
they did in the early seasons of Tag Pro, but it was just one map for all the minutes, and it was pre-decided each round. Like I think probably like seasons 5 through 8 or something, right before that.
yeah. Well, that's I mean like I don't know if I love that just because you're playing
I
multiple
don't like that
maps.
either. Yeah.
Um,
Well, obviously this is better than we have. But I kind of like the novice format where you play like
Yeah, I mean, there's
round
again, we'll talk
10 minute
about
round.
that on another pod because there's like pros and cons to everything
Yeah,
about that, and
these are
it's
more like discussion
yeah, and
type
it's
stuff.
tough of a for the CRC to like because I don't know if they're the ones who make that, but I mean like it's kind of unfair to be like they should do this when like this is
Yeah.
super hard to organize and whatnot. Yeah, and then we'll take a look at clocks and blocks. We got team with 5 caps per game, 319 holds per game, horse 42.5 returns per game and 608.5 prevent per game. Pups, 6.5 prevent per game for horse.
Of course.
Quit rooting on horse. Gosh, you're such a homer. So I'm gonna take a look at the maps they played in the previous week to see if they were similar. Kinda. They actually played. They both played Jardum, um, in the equidistant 8.
Okay, that's
Clocks and
good.
blocks won 4-2 in the first half, and then 11-9. And then on the other end, House Tagaryen was up. They boat raced him. Oh, it's Pie Curious. Oh, you bastards! You bastards! House Tagaryen 9-4 first half, and then 15-10 second half. Um,
Boat race.
it was a boat race, but let's just say this: there was a lot of investigations into botting after that. Because how do you beat Pie Curious? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
No
or my
investigations.
time.
4 might die. You hate to hear it. Who else we got? We got Young Hotties. Okay, yeah. So and then Willow was the second map for Clocks and Blocks Cap Hazard, and that was a barn burner, man. That was 4-3 in the
Two
first
wild
half. Yeah, 6-6 tie. We went into OT 7-7, then 9-9. We went into double OT 10-10, and then 11-10 in double OT. Clocks and Blocks finally won it. Haste was the other map for House Tagaryen, which was actually their first map. It was a 3-3 tie, and then they edged out Pycurius 5-4. So House Tagaryen clearly not indestructible. If they had won both games in the way that they won Jardum, I would be a bit intimidated by them. But
Yeah,
Pycurius, a very good team, and they almost stole the first game there. So
yeah. I think we picked Pie Curious. So the fact that they won that as easily as they did, like in 2 games, shows that they're a really strong team.
I didn't. I don't. I believe I got out of there without picking anyone because I actually thought House
Oh,
Tagaryen
okay.
was a really good team,
Oh, you didn't want
and
to
I didn't
jump
want
on
to. I didn't want to blast Dino while he was on the pod. Say, I think you're gonna lose.
You've learned your lesson by now.
Well, I knew it was going 3 games. Well, at least that's what I thought. I thought for sure it was going 3 games, and I didn't realize like the second game would be such a blowout, which was a bummer. But like that tends to happen on Jardum. If you let like just a little bit go, that map can slip away from you so fast. Like the game can get out of hand real quick.
All right,
Um,
Jinx.
I know, yeah. I'm known as the Jinx in my own channel. You hate to hear it. Oh, at least I didn't kill anyone like the HBO documentary guy. Or have I?
Wow.
So I kind of wouldn't mind seeing them both these teams play Jardum. That'd be fun. They
Seems
both
like
already
they
played it.
both like it.
Yeah, they're both into it.
Maybe that can be the game 3.
I think like if I'm Clocks and Blocks, maybe avoid that one just because like clearly House Targaryen is very happy on it and they did win pretty handily. So it is
I could
something to
definitely see
consider.
that team being good on Jordan.
Yeah, but Clocks and Blocks also, in fairness, I guess to me it seems like the low seed picks first. Is that correct? Because it goes.
Well, it's up to the high seed to decide, but
Oh, okay.
the generally more favored decision is like to pick second and then to pick the last map because it goes to 3 games.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you get to ban first, and I think you get to pick second and then pick the third map.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
But the
yeah.
thing
So we
about
don't know
that
for
is
sure.
that you can get momentum like in a matchup with your first pick as the lower seed.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It should be, and in theory, if you're banning twice, you ban at the end again.
Well, you just get to pick out of the last 3 maps.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't really
Because
need.
I was gonna say if you, oh, okay, so you pick out the last 3. I was gonna say if you do the last ban and there's only one map left after that ban, then in theory you're kind of picking that map as well.
Yeah,
Okay. So, anyways, all that said and done, I really like this matchup. I think Refined was and team are like a ridiculously good offense together. And I'm looking
yeah.
forward to that matchup because Cheese Doodle and Gargantua are a ridiculously good defense together. So like,
And honestly, I was gonna say the exact same thing in reverse. I think First and Dad is an insane offense,
mhm.
and Horse and Frozen is like a major's defense.
Yep, yep.
So this matchup is just stacked all over the board, and it's still free if we want to take it.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Nobody's streaming it.
yeah. Sign us
We
up.
might. Let's
I'm
do it.
definitely gonna take that one. I also figured out good news for the stream. I figured out how to properly implement the scoreboard and whatnot. Apparently, I have to be on Chrome instead of Firefox, and everything works fine. So yeah, good to
Nice.
know. Yeah,
All right. Let's
so
do it.
it'll look a little cleaner. Not much cleaner, but we're still going to have zany interviews and whatnot when we do it with mine, at least, because I'm trying to make this entertaining. And once I get a second monitor, we'll also have organ music.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to that. I almost bought one just to make sure
You
I
can
could
get the
get it.
organ working.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, Yeah, the Horse defense. So Horse is one of those guys. He's kind of the flex ball. He can shoot to offense. So can Frozen actually. And Refine can, like, all these guys can play offense or defense.
Yeah.
Uh, with the exception of Dad, I'm not really that sure. I haven't seen Dad play all that much. I know he's a
Well,
great offensive player though.
I've actually played that majors defense minutes this season on when I wasn't able to play versus Blockwork. So he's pretty competent on defense.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. So, but like this one, it feels like you're getting a Mooper Ball matchup in the semis for sure to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say so too.
and not only that, but
Which is unfortunate for both of these teams because you don't want to like have to do that and just to get to the movie. But it is a really good matchup here.
yeah, I think nobody wanted to pick Clocks and Blocks. Let's make that clear. They were the last pick
Yeah,
in the first round, and then despite being the lower number 7 seed, their team came together later, and they've really just gelled really really well. But this one should be, I don't know. I'd be stunned if it didn't go 3 games or if it didn't go to overtime in the first two. So essentially, I think they're all going to be close. I don't know. I don't know who to pick, and it looks like they like kind of similar styles on their maps. So, so it's just kind of it's really it's one of those you got to tune in to find out who's going to win for sure.
agreed.
I mean, you always do, but in this case, it's really hard. I can't pick a team. I like them both. I mean,
It's
I
really tough for me to pick one here. If anything, I hate to pick against like House Targaryen again, but I really do think that this Clocks and Blocks team like is going to go to the mover. It's like
yeah
probably in 3 games because
yeah
this is just a really good matchup.
yeah.
So if I'm gonna
This
pick a team, I'm gonna pick that.
like honestly, like sometimes I do wish because there's so limited teams. If they were to go down to 10 teams again, I think there was 12 this season, if I'm not mistaken, for both majors and minors. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Yeah, if they were going to go down to 10 again, I would rather see like an interesting playoff where only the top 4 teams make it, and you do it group style, where you play everyone in a like the
oh
World
really?
Cup group, where you play everyone in the group, do the points.
Want to see it be done all at once, like in one like hour or so,
Um,
or would it be like a progressive thing, like one per day?
I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of weird ideas for Tag Pro, but like I think that would be an interesting one. Even if you did like top 8 seeds with these 12, and I don't know, it does extend the season, but like doing, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not really a. I didn't think this through. Wayne, don't call me on this.
Trying to think logistically.
No, I mean, like that makes sense, but I haven't fleshed it out. But I think my point being, I wouldn't mind seeing all these teams play each other. All Eyes on Re,
For
House
sure.
Tagaryen, Clocks and Blocks, and Young Hotties playing a game against each other. But that's not how it works. And like you said Clocks and Blocks, and just for that, I'm going to go with House Tagaryen just to make it interesting.
Yeah,
And
I'm
also,
glad you did
I've
that.
found in the streams it's so much more fun to not be unbiased. It's
Yeah, it is
much more
way more.
fun to be biased and root for one team.
Got
um,
some money on it. It's yeah.
so last week when Clocks and Blocks squared up against Cap Hazard, I believe I was the Cap Hazard home announcer. Um,
Ooh,
I think.
you're definitely part of the Pie Curious home announcer.
No, I was the Clocks and Blocks home announcer. Sorry, I looked at the
Oh, you
team. Yeah, and I was rooting for them like crazy, so it was epic when they won. It was so
were.
fun.
Obviously, we weren't that hard. You already forgot who it was.
No, I looked at Cap Hazard and I was like, JJ, Will. No. These guys, I was literally like, I basically just called them dastardly heels and things like that. Just say how they're cheating when they're clearly not. Although
Good.
this
Okay.
season, um, but yeah,
We'll
it's a
have to go
lot of
against
fun.
each other when we're streaming this match.
What's that?
We'll have to root against each other when we're streaming this match.
I don't know. I think I guess I already did it for last week, so I guess I got to jump back on Clocks and Blocks home announcing. I mean,
Oh,
we got to.
that's our game.
Who's the owner of Clocks and Blocks who pays our bills here?
I don't know. We'll have to discuss that with them in
Yeah,
negotiation.
true, true. Um, but yeah, it should be a great matchup. If we are able to stream it, I'm looking. Was this the one we said we might be able to stream? Was it this one?
Yeah, this.
Yeah, I would love to stream this game. It would be insane. Um, I mean, I still will pick House Tagaryen. I just think their team is ridiculously good. But nothing surprises me in that. Well, actually, the only thing that would surprise me is if one team absolutely took them to the woodshed and just beat each other. Like, if it was like 15-1, 15-1 in favor of either of the teams, I'd be like, oh, well, that was unexpected.
So
And the other thing I hope,
both these
because
are too good for that to happen. I'm pretty confident.
yeah, I think they're both too good for it to happen. The other thing that I actually do hope for sure, though, is sometimes you see a good series, quote unquote, and this is in the NBA. This isn't just Tag Pro, like any series of baseball, hockey, whatever, and it's going to game 7 or whatever, and the games, when you look at like game 1 was 4-0, game, or if it's the NBA, it was like 100-80. Game 2 is 100-70 for the other team. Like it's just these blowouts nonstop. I hope that doesn't happen, and I don't think it will. So I guess that would also kind of surprise me if the games weren't close, even though they were splitting them.
It's on the maps.
Yeah.
It depends on how they prepare from, I guess.
So I guess we'll kind of wrap with that, because we did kind of the selection. We both picked a team. What maps do you think are going to be picked here?
I hope we see Jardim again.
Yeah, I want to see Jardim too. I
I
mean,
feel like they both have no issues. So
don't do it for the fans though, guys. Do what's best for your team. But Jardim,
yeah.
if Jardim does make it, I think everyone's going to be pretty excited. Especially because going in, like, I don't know how much research captains do, but like they both feel pretty confident on Jardim. So like,
Seems like they should be.
Like my biggest thing is if you do pick Jardim, you may want to leave it till the end, because if you're super confident going in on Jardim and then you lose, or even worse, you get spanked, that's a huge momentum like killer. Just like I don't know
They
about this
both
anymore.
probably are confident in Jardim, and they also both respect that the other team is good at Jardim, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it as the Game 3 map.
Game 3, yeah. But Game 3, that's the best though. Is like, okay, so you win Game 1, but you lose Game 2. The entire time you're like, you know what? And don't worry, guys, we got Jardim. And then on the other side,
I think a map like that too, where Willow and Jardim are kind of in their own tier, where it's very fast and there can be a lot of captains, and I'm excited to see them in playoffs.
Yeah, it should be a banger. I think that's just about it, unless we got anything else that you want to cover, bud. No, not so much. All right. So music once again provided by Selfie Syntax. He's amazing. Play us out, Selfie. I wish I had a keyboard cat video here. That'd be great.
For the next podcast.
For the next one. We got to go negotiate right now to see who's going to let us be their home announcer.
Box and Blocks, House Tagaryen, Monday night, Team Eastern. The Jam.
Yeah, and AK-47 also will be streaming. What's the other one?
I think that's Rektiles versus Ranked Thugs.
Yeah. Rektiles Ranked Thugs, that's tomorrow. On Father's Day. Get your dad a great Father's Day gift. Have him tune in to Rektiles.
Get him a Ranked Thugs jersey.
Get him a Ranked Thugs jersey. The most professional jersey. Tell him he can wear it to work. Which I guess technically they can now if you're working from home. Thanks, everybody. Bye.